Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to yet another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. We're busy here today on Wednesday, each and every Wednesday, and especially recently because there's been so many good end of the year albums that have come out that we need to kind of talk about before the year is up because best of 22 time approaches and we got to get these things done and talked about so you guys can spend what little money you have left before the holidays on new music. So joining me today on this episode from up in Canada, Rick LaBonte, and my fellow upstate New Yorker, Mr. Eric Porter. What's going on, fellas?
How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good. You ready to talk about a fun album? I mean,
Yes.
today I've talked about, some metal, lots of metal, hard rock, prog, some soul and stuff. This is fun music. And as I get something in my eye, this is fun stuff. This is the first new studio album in like 20 years from a band that contains a very good friend of ours. You've seen him here on the channel quite a bit, Mr. Jim Bakke, and the band is Fuzzbubble. The album, of course, is Cult Stars from Mars, which ironically was kind of a name of a little project he was doing for a bit, and then he decided to continue on with Fuzzbubble, get the rest of the guys back together in the band, and call the album Cult Stars from Mars. And like I said, it's the first album in over 20 years. They debuted back in, was it 2000, Rick, that first album came out?
2002, I believe. It's almost like 20 years to the day.
Yeah,
Maybe 2001. But
quite
they
a
were
while.
around together, touring, like playing in clubs and stuff from 95 to 2001.
Yeah.
And
So
then
this
was
is
really,
power pop, guys. I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it. It's just good, solid, feel good, fun, rock and roll, but like what we call power pop. And I know Jim pretty well. I know what Jim really likes. Jim is a big fan of the Beatles and Jellyfish and Cheap Trick.
Mhm.
And damn it, that's what you hear when you listen to this. Those
Definitely.
influences kind of are bleeding through every song on here. Rick, I'll turn it over to you to maybe talk about the, who plays on the album and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
sure.
Factoids
But
before
like
we
you
talk
said,
about
it's definitely power pop galore. And what's great about this record, it's also retro and modern meet together perfectly. And just to a little plug in on the Sea of Tranquility show, there's an episode with Jim and Pete and Mike Portnoy talking about power pop,
And
and the
Martin
whole
Popoff as well,
definition
yeah.
on power pop is on here. It's just like the way you opened it because it's power pop galore, blast from the past with the modern touch, and so it's on there. And so, like you said, he's a fan of Jellyfish, Cheap Trick, Imperial Drag, or the Beatles. It reminds me of bands like Weezer and Sloan with the punch that they have into it. And so here we are. We got some guests. First of all, they brought the bass player back from the first album for a couple tracks, that Dragonfly Part 2. And reason why it's called Part 2, by the way, because on this second release, it's just called Demos, Outtake, and Rarities. Dragonfly, it's in the first run edition, came out, but it changed somewhat. That's why he called it Dragonfly 2. However, called, that song from the title track, called Stars from Mars, is on this record, but it's in a demo fashion, and it really kick ass with Mike Portnoy. I mean, with this mix going on. But Mike Portnoy is the guest on this album. 4 times he plays in Blinded by the Light, Dragonfly Part 2, I Like That Song, and The Window. And we'll talk about that. His daughter, Melody, also sings harmony for the Blinded by the Light, and it is the faithful version to like Man for Man. We'll get into that in a bit. Jeff Scott Soto is also on there, and a host of others. But Jim wrote 8 out of the 10, and the lead singer, I think Mark DiCarlo is how you pronounce his name. He wrote 2 of the tracks. And well done album. And so before I get into that, we're turning on to Eric because he did the very first written review on the website, right?
Absolutely. So this, first of all, it was a pleasure meeting Jim at SOT Fest. I'd never met him before. I was on a few shows. And when we did the Guitarist Corner, I think him and I both had a back and forth on Jellyfish. So I was excited to hear this, knowing it was in that pop direction. And I have to be honest, the first 4 tracks, I'm like, you hear it once and you're singing the choruses. I mean, it just locks in the melodies, great guitar harmonies. The lead singer, I think that's a Mark, was it Mark DiCarlo?
Yep.
Gritty voice, but like really good voice. Like he's got some grit and power to him, but at the same time,
He's got that Robin
comes
Zander
through.
kind of snarl to it.
Yes.
Right? You know, yeah.
And the backing harmonies are beautiful. I mean,
The ear candy moments all through the record.
yeah, I don't know how to
I think-
overstate it.
I think Jim and the drummer Jason Camiolo, I think they do a good chunk of the backing vocals.
Okay.
Spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, that really was a standout to me. There's some great guitar stuff, really cool licks, some harmony guitars in these. And you mentioned Dragonfly Part 2, Rick. I think that's my favorite track.
Oh yeah.
The chorus is absolute. That's an earworm. Not that the others aren't. But I was just so impressed. I mean, I really hadn't heard Jim's music before. And when I got this, I think he produced it. The sound is great. The playing is obviously great. I think I said in my review, they actually covered my favorite cover song, which I thought was kind of, and I was looking at it before I listened to it. I'm like, Blinded by the Light, huh? I want, absolutely faithful version.
Yep.
Kick to it. I was just blown away. As much as I love the originals, which I didn't need a cover song on this, but they picked a great one to cover, if you ask me. And I thought they did a fantastic job of it.
And I thought the same thing. I said to Pete, I said, honestly, the album's so strong, it didn't need this classic hit, but they did do it with justice, and it sits well right in the fifth track. Between the two albums, sits right perfectly. But it's just that goes to give you the strength of his material that it wasn't needed. It was such a good album listening. It just made the album 46 minutes, I guess, by having that extra song in there. And they did it well. And of course, Mike Portnoy kick ass on the drums.
Yeah, I'm sure it was nice.
A lot better in the mix with that drum popping up like that. It's awesome.
Right. And I think that maybe is the thing to point out. If you like power pop, these are really well composed and arranged. I mean, they're really done well. This is top-notch stuff. And I would put this up with anything. I mean, I love Jellyfish. I would play this right along with Jellyfish. They're probably my favorite power pop. And then kind of at the end, I thought The Window was kind of a little bit of a deviation in a good way, kind of rocked things up. And it kind of gave me a Kashmir vibe. Not that it sounded like Kashmir, but it had that kind of vibe to it to me.
Yeah, definitely Cheap Trick meets Led Zeppelin. Definitely, because that's what I heard.
How I heard it. Yep.
That's exactly how I heard it. It was like they had that mythical or that mythology behind that slow dragon beat in a way, but the vocals, it reminded me exactly as Cheap Trick.
I'm glad you guys heard that, because that's kind of, it was funny because I was trying to, when I had a little back and forth with Jim, I was like, Regretfully Yours really reminds me of Jellyfish. That really, like that track, just the way it's put together. And then I talked about The Window a little bit, but I really can't say enough about this. If you like that type or style of music, this is top shelf. And that's really all you have to know.
I have the whole Jim discography, everything he done in all the project, and this is my favorite one. Immediate listen, you like it automatically. Everything's accessible about it. Like let's talk about the first song, for example, called "Stars from Mars." Just the way it opens, it reminds me of surf rock, like Dick Dale or some garage rock with the Batman theme in the beginning, and then it's changed so much throughout the song. It gives you a little bit of all the things that we love about Jellyfish or the Beatles or the Monkees, Day Clark 5. They're all in there. Give you the 60s, yet the 70s vibe, and then sometimes it brings that modern touch. So it's well done to make the music relevant. The second song is actually written by...
Hey, Rick, just quick, did you pick up the Boston ending on that song?
Yeah, I heard what you're saying.
Rock and roll band, they got the little audience at the end, and it's got the guitar, slide. I thought that was funny.
But that's what I meant. That's what I meant about the 70s. That reminded me of a snapshot of the 70s, that little tour coming out of the tour belt. Or just the very, the way they do the harmonies reminds me of a lot of the things I've studied with the Beach Boys or or let's say even obviously the Beatles, the Birds and stuff like that. The way they do the calm response or the overlapping of the vocals, like the second song I was about to say, "Can't Wait to See You." I wake
Terrific
up
song.
hearing that in my head. I wake up like I'm hearing all my Beatles album. Those melodic parts that are so catchy that you wake up with it. So that's how that's how ear candy this music is. Funny Face is a great number by Jim. But what you said about regrettably, yours is exactly Jellyfish, and I hear it big time. And that's what I like about it is that it's still Bubble, right? It's still their sound, their band, but you can hear their influence. But they're still original music. They're not cloning anybody. It's just that they give you that kind of they just tip their toes and those kind of vibe of music, and they put it all in a 4-minute song or 3-minute song, and you can pick it apart if you want, but it's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like I said about Blinded by the Light was done well, but like I said, it wasn't needed because it's such a good record, but they did a great job. Dragonfly Part 2, great. I like that song. I like that song. I think it's a great title. I mean, it goes with the review. I think that is awesome.
Don't
The
you think
one
that
that
would make
really
a
hit
great
me,
radio single? I
oh
just every
yeah,
time I listen to "I Like That Song," I'm like, I could totally hear that blasting on the radio, and everybody get.
yeah. I've been actually playing his music before my shows recently just to get, because I enjoy it. You know what makes this music exciting and why we like it, could call it a fun record? It's just like when you experience somebody laughing, you don't know what they're laughing about, but because they're laughing so much you can't help but laugh along or feel it. It's contagious. This is what it feels like with them. They're having such a good time doing this record. You feel the good time right through the presence of the music, and they captured that. That's great. Goodbye, dear friend. That sounds like Paul McCartney to me. That reminds me of Jeff Lynne's or something that I could hear in Paul McCartney's Flaming Pie record because of that piano bit and the really powerful words. I mean, somebody must have been real near dear Jim's heart to write that song because it's a beautiful ballad. I mean, it didn't come from thin air. Something happened to make him write such a beautiful song like that. And then, of course, By My Side is another Mark song. And then The Window, which is a great way to go out because it's a little different, like you said, Eric. But it showed that heaviness side of that band as well. And I still hear Cheap Trick loud and clear through that record. What about you, Pete? What are you thinking?
I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. Probably my favorite tracks on here. I love the title song. I love "Can't Wait to See You." "Funny Face" might be my favorite song on the album. That's real. I mean, the chorus is just so addicting, and just it's. I just want to keep playing it over and over and over again. The cover is great, but I think we all love "Blinded by the Light," the Man for Man's version, so much. I mean, you said it, Eric. It's the best cover of all time, in my opinion.
Me too.
And this is so true to that version, and I think they sound like they're having a blast playing it, which I really like. Dragonfly Part 2 is amazing, and I like that song also. I think that and Funny Face are probably my two favorites, but I love The Window. And what's really good about this album, we've talked a lot about we know Jim pretty well, and I know all of Jim's favorite bands, right? Because we've talked about it on air so many times. I know Jim loves Rush and Zeppelin, and you mentioned Boston. He loves Cheap Trick. He loves the Beatles. He loves Jellyfish. You hear all of that on here, but yet it still sounds like Rick said, it still sounds like Fuzzbubble. If you listen to any of their other albums, they have a sound, but they let their influences bleed through, and that's okay. And I can't remember the last time I heard an album that was just this much fun to listen to. Like
Mm-hmm.
just music for music's sake,
Mhm.
right? Just for the pure joy of making music, making it except, I think one of you guys mentioned ear candy or something.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? And there are very few bands in the world, I think, where you get that sense of just fun. And we love music so much, we're just going to make music that we like, that hopefully people will like. And you don't need 3-minute guitar solos. There doesn't have to be complex passages. There doesn't need to be big, huge riffs, but they're doing all the little things really well here in like 3 to 4 minute songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's old school songwriting, right? I mean, that's what
Yeah.
it's all
Yes.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the name of the band does suit the music too, because you know it does. It really does. It's fun. It's definitely power pop galore, right from the beginning to the very end. If you're looking for what definition of power pop, it's Fuzzbubble.
This is it. Yeah. And it does rock quite a bit in
Oh
spots.
yeah.
It's not a
Oh
heavy
yeah,
album, but it rocks. Again, I hate to keep bringing Cheap Trick up, but I think one of the things that people love so much about those early Cheap Trick records, and quite frankly, even their most recent one,
yes,
is that it's just good rock and roll, but there's just hooks galore in it. And again, you listen to Cheap Trick, they're fun. They're a fun band to listen to. You go see them live, they're a fun band to watch. That's what this is. That's what this is. So,
Absolutely.
Eric, I know you've already given us your rating on the website, but what are you giving this one,
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Rick?
I agree. I concur. I mean, it's designed exactly what he was off to do. And if you're looking for power pop, you can't get better than this. I mean, 2022, it still works today. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm inclined to give it the exact same thing. 4.5 out of 5. As most of you know, that's damn good. And
Yes,
anything over 4 in my book is a pretty outstanding album.
Mhm.
So
that's right.
it doesn't get much better than that. Again, I know this is a little off the beaten path from what we normally talk about here on the channel, but if you like any of the bands we've talked about, just go online or wherever the hell you listen to your music and listen to any of the songs we mentioned. All right. In fact, I will hold this up. It's going to be kind of blurry, but anyway, go listen to Cult Stars from Mars. All right. That's
Good choice.
Can't Wait to See You, Funny Face. I mean, if you love Blinded by the Light, go check it out. They actually did a video for that way before the album came out. I remember Jim sent me that like a year ago, or Mike sent me that. I don't remember. Dragonfly Part 2 is terrific. I like that song. Terrific. And The Window, terrific. All the other tracks are really good too, but those to me are the highlights. Yeah. Fuzzbubble, Called Stars from Mars. And if you get a chance, go listen to Fuzzbubble from 2000 and Demos, Outtakes, and Rarities, which was from 2002 or whatever the years there are. I might be off a little bit on those, but those are a lot of fun as well. I'm going to be pulling my copies out of my stack and giving them another listen. So
2002.
and they're on Bandcamp, right? So does anybody have the Bandcamp address?
I don't. I know Jim said they are going up shortly on like Apple Music and a couple of the others, but
Yeah,
it is on
Spotify, all
Bandcamp
that
right now.
will be available shortly. There's just a little delay.
Okay. Yeah, it says the CD on Future Primitive. I guess that's the label. Available from, I'll spell this out, everybody. It's swag66.bigcartel.com. That's SWAGG 66.bigcartel.com. And also, I guess, either soon or now, Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, and all major streaming platforms. I'll drop a couple of links in the comments below for people who want to go just click away and check it out. But yeah, fantastic. Go check it out if you haven't already. And want to thank Eric and Rick for jumping on short notice here today. Spending our lunch hour together so we can talk about a great band, Fuzzbubble. So,
Pleasure.
Jim, if you're watching, and I know you are watching, Jim, well done. Let's not wait 20 years from
We're
now.
proud of you.
Congratulations, great record.
There you go.
We're proud of you, brother.
That's right. Jim Bakke and the guys in Fuzzbubble, Mark and Jason and Brett and everybody else, Mike Portner, everybody else who took part in this album. Great, great job. You got 4.5 out of 5 stars from us. And go read Eric's review on seatranquility.org. It's a little bit more in depth probably than we talked about today. And visit us over there on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. I think that's it for new album reviews today. But tune in next week. We've got more coming at you. Until then, please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button. For Rick LaBonte and Eric Porter, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon here on the channel. Fuzzbubble, Cult Stars from Mars. Check it out. Take care.